Ashkenazi heavy Orthodox. I got to experience that midrash pretty much is to be taken literal in the group. It was very interesting. The what I spoke on, well, I was basically requested slash told to give the Devar Torah. I guess that's one thing. If you're new to the group, they kind of tell you to do it, kind of fill you out. And I spoke on the how this Torah portion uh, is pretty much a very groundbreaking um, feminist, uh, biblically feminist, groundbreaking Torah portion. Because in the ancient world, women were kind of in the back seat, but all through this, and all through the stories where mothers and fathers, our mothers are very prominent. And actually, there seemed to indicate that the God that was revealed to Abraham, which is our God, but the understanding of what he is was a almost a feminine type. It was um, the all-consuming one, right? The one who takes you to his chest. One would say, one would say, the all-breasted one, but it's not in our context. It was a purely motherly context. But anyways, I had said so that I don't get so far off on my drashes this year that I was going to focus on stories. Rabbi Zvi Meir Cohn relays the following story from our holy and righteous Tzaddik teacher, the Baal Shem Tov. He attributes it to Bereshit 24:50. Okay. The Baal Shem Tov was orphaned at a young age and thus was particularly concerned with the welfare of orphaned children. A young orphaned girl was taken in by the Baal Shem Tov and raised in his home. When she became of marriageable age, the Baal Shem Tov arranged a match for her. The respective groom was also an orphan, raised in the home of Rabbi Zev Katis, one of the Baal Shem Tov's closest followers. It was then that the custom for the family of the bride to provide a substantial dowry to the groom to help the couple begin their new life together. Baal Shem Tov had pledged 200 gulden, which are golden coins of the Russian variety, to Rabbi Zev for the girl's dowry. On the day of the wedding, after the festivities had begun, the time for the Bedekin arrived. Now, the Bedekin is a ceremony that recalls the marriage between our father Yaakov and our mother Rachel. The chosen, the groom, is escorted to the Kala, the bride, who sits like a queen on a throne chair. So, thus again, it's a very important place of our mothers. The chosen lifts her veil, and after seeing her the first time as his Kala, lowers the veil to cover her face. This is a very special and joyful moment. Just before the Bedekin, Rabbi Zev approached the Baal Shem Tov and said, Rebbe, I will not escort the chosen to the Bedekin unless you pay me the 200 gulden that you pledge for the dowry. Reb Zev, do you not trust me to pay the pledge? The Baal Shem Tov asked with a smile. It's not a question of trust, Rabbi Reb Zev responded. The chosen and the Kala will be living in my house. I can't afford to support them on my own. It is written, if there's no flour, there is no Torah, as written in the Mishnah of Oath 323. I can assure you, I will not change my mind. I do not have enough flour for all of us. At that moment, as the wedding guests were assembling, Reb Leib of Krimitz arrived in a nervous and agitated state. The Baal Shem Tov sat him down and poured him a glass of wine. After a sip, Reb Leib calmed down somewhat. He explained to the Baal Shem Tov the reason for his unexpected visit. Remember, a good glass of wine or can be soothing and kind cause your anxiety to flee for a moment, as is expressed by Shlomo HaMelech. A local community member had brought a message from the Poritz, which is the landlord of the governor. It informed Reb Leib that the Baal Shem Tov had recently signed a promissory note for 1,000 gulden for the ransom of Poritz prisoners. The prisoners were tenant Jews who had failed to pay their rent on leased property to the Poritz on time and were thus in prison. The Poritz now demanded that to be paid in full and had sent a message to the Baal Shem Tov. Rabbi Israel Baal Shem Tov must immediately pay me the debt in full, or Reb Leib of Kremenetz will also be thrown into the prison in chains. Baal Shem Tov called Alexei, his non-Jewish wagon driver. Quickly harness the horses and prepare the wagon. He turned to Reb Leib. Reb Leib, take my wagon and go to Poritz and pay him the full amount. Then hurry back to the Bedekin of the Kala. Now, Reb Leib was unsure with what was going on and how he's going to pay the Poritz. He didn't have such amount of money, and the Baal Shem Tov didn't give him the amount. Nevertheless, he reasoned, if the Rebbe is sending me on such an urgent mission, there must be some miracle that's about to occur. So Reb Leib set off. When Reb Leib arrived in the Poritz estate, he was ushered into the Poritz stateroom. Rabbi Leib boomed the Poritz. Did you bring the 1,000 gulden from the Baal Shem Tov? Reb Leib did not know what to say, but suddenly he heard the words leave his mouth. Of course, Your Excellency. Poritz smiled with satisfaction and offered Reb Leib a seat while he went to get a drink of mead. Mead is a honey beer. When the Poritz was gone, Reb Leib began to panic. What should he do now? How should he pay the Poritz? As he sat down, he pondered his dilemma. At that moment, his eyes fell on a large cross hanging on the wall. He knew the Poritz was a religious Christian, so perhaps he could appeal to his religious character. The Poritz returned to the mead. With the mead, Your Excellency, said Reb Leib, I need to speak to you of an important matter, Your Excellency. I realize that you're a righteous and honest person, but would not take one penny from another dishonestly. Now I'm ready to pay you the full amount, but according to our records, the Baal Shem Tov does not owe you 1,000 gulden, and if you take the money, you're committing robbery. I know that as a religious, God-fearing man, you would never do such a thing. The Poritz pondered Reb Leib's words. Just a few days before, the Poritz had a terrifying nightmare and had woken his wife with a scream. He had dreamed that he had passed on to the next world and was being tortured as a punishment for stealing money. The Poritz immediately called for the records and began to search through his receipts from the properties that were ransomed. Sure enough, he found the promissory note from the Baal Shem Tov. The Poritz stared at the piece of paper for a few minutes, but seemed like an hour to the nervous Reb Leib. Suddenly, the Poritz rose from his seat, walked to the fireplace, and threw the note into the blazing fire. Rabbi Leib, he said, it seems that in fact I owe the Baal Shem Tov 200 gulden. The Poritz counted out 200 gold coins, placed them in a velvet bag, and handed to the astonished Reb Leib. Rabbi, please give this to the Baal Shem Tov with my sincerest apologies. Reb Leib began the trip back to Mezbuza, but stopped along the way at a friend's inn. He sat with his friend enjoying a glass of vodka as he related the miraculous events of the day. Suddenly, he remembered that Baal Shem Tov had told him to hurry back so the bedekin of the bride could begin. He quickly downed the last of his vodka, ran out to the wagon, and told Alexei to return to Mizbeah as fast as he could. In Mizbeah, the Baal Shem Tov awaited Reb Leib's return. The wedding guests grew restless. A crowd had gathered around the Baal Shem Tov. Suddenly, the Baal Shem Tov rose from his chair and said, look, he stopped at an inn, and he's telling the whole story. When Reb Leib finally reached the wedding party, he gave the Baal Shem Tov the bag of guldens, and he began to relate all the details of what happened with the Poritz. But the Baal Shem Tov cut Reb Leib short. Reb Leib, I already know what happened. We don't have time for this. The Baal Shem Tov turned to his friend Reb Zev and handed him the bag of 200 guldens with a bright smile and said, let the wedding begin. And so it was. So whether the contents of this story is the trust that Hashem had placed, that Eliezer had placed in Hashem. And not only we see kind of a self-conversion in this, in that Eliezer was always the God of my God of my master Abraham, and it seemed to eventually turn to just Hashem, as if he was embracing Hashem as his own God. So if we put faith in Hashem, now I'm not saying that we should make outlandish claims and prepare for miracles to happen. We should never prepare for miracles. But if God is ordained to do something, it's going to happen, right? So Yeshua says that we should worry about today's affairs because today has enough worries of itself. So all we have to do is trust that Hashem is going to take care of us, and He will take care of us. Shabbat Shalom.
Mm.